All right, what's up, guys? My apologies for the delay. I know a lot of you have been messaging me since Friday, eager and ready to get going with either starting your courses or preparing to actually take the state test. So my apologies for waiting a couple of days. I've traveled this weekend, came to see my parents. Brought my son down here to see my parents. So I've been a little occupied with that. But this video here is for everyone who has already passed your pre-licensing courses. So if you've already gotten past the courses and you're ready to take your state license exam, sorry, this is for you. All right, so my first word of advice, if you've already passed your courses, is to set an exam date. All right, I know a lot of us, we would rather think that we're really prepared to take the exam before we set the date. But what that does a lot of times is it just continues this saga of every day we feel a little bit less prepared than we think we should. And that's just the mind doing what the mind does. You know, it's part of, I think, human nature, just to, one day we feel like we got it and then the next day we feel like we don't. You know, that's just natural. So if we wait to set the exam until we feel like we know it all, you're never going to be able to take the exam, because you're never going to know every single thing in this real estate world. Not right now. You're going to learn that over time in practice of being a real estate agent. That was the best piece of advice that I got. Treat this as what it is. It's a test. You're not studying to know if you're the best real estate agent in America or in the world. You're studying to pass a test. So my first word of advice, after you pass the courses, set an exam date. 2 weeks minimum. Okay, so from today, if you set your exam date, set it 2 weeks out. All right, anything beyond 2 weeks. So 2 weeks, I say no more than 4 weeks. Don't try to study for 6 weeks and 8 weeks and all that stuff. 2 weeks to 4 weeks. All right. And try to set it on a Monday. That way you're coming off of a weekend and you can kind of, on that Sunday, really do a refresher course and kind of prepare for that next day. You know, if you do it during the middle of the week or something like that, you're coming, some of us, you know, if you're working or if you have kids, you know, you're coming off of that night where you're, you know, dealing with your kids, getting them off to school in the morning, you're dealing with getting off work. So don't set it in the middle of the week if you can help it. And don't set it in the evening. Don't go to work and then go and take your real estate exam. Try to set it first thing in the morning. When I did mine, I set it for a Monday morning at 9 a.m. That Sunday, I looked over my vocabulary. That Sunday morning, I did a refresher course. I'm going to put the link down below of the refresher course that I did. And then I did not take any practice exams or anything like that on that Sunday. I did the refresher course and I did the vocabulary, and then I let it go for the day. I enjoyed my son for the rest of the day. I went to bed early that night, and I really just prepared for that next morning, okay? I dropped him off at school and I went straight to the testing site, and it worked out perfectly for me, okay? So those first two things, 2 weeks out, no more than 4 weeks out, and then try to set it on a Monday morning, especially if you work. You know, try to get off or go in late that day or something. Maybe if you can get off for that whole day, that would be perfect for you. So that way Sunday, you're kind of preparing, you ease your mind, you relax, and then you get ready to take the test, okay? Let's see. For this video, the next thing I would say is focus on vocabulary first and last. Vocabulary is really the whole test. Knowing your vocabulary, knowing what things mean inside and out for the best part that you can. All right, so just knowing about the appraisal process, knowing you know, what a agent responsibility is, knowing what an agency responsibility is, knowing that vocabulary is going to help you pass this test. Math, for me, math was not a big part of the test, but it was definitely more of the test than what I was told that it would be. And so knowing like calculations as far as how to come up with your commission splits and things like that are going to help you as well, but they're not as important as the vocabulary. Okay, so once you set your exam date, the first thing I would do is set a schedule every day. Try to study at least an hour a day. If you can do more than that, that's good. Don't try to study for 8 hours, 5 hours, stuff like that. Allow your mind to process things little by little. Start with the vocabulary. I'm gonna put the link in here for the vocabulary that I used, the instructor that I used on YouTube. He really helped me. It's just literally just flashcards, just going over the definitions. I did that every single day. All right. So like I said, I did my whole entire process in 5 weeks. That looked like, for me, the first 2 weeks, I took the courses. So every day I was taking one course, one section in the morning, probably like 2 at night. I did not try to retain everything in those courses. I did not try to write down everything in those courses. Literally, the units will give you key terms at the end or at the beginning of every course and at the end of every unit, I mean. So take those key terms, you can print them out or whatever. Those are the most important things to take from that unit. Now, to pass the courses, you do have to know a little bit more about what you learned in the courses. But as far as the state exam goes, for me, it looked nothing like the course exam at all. The wording, the length of the questions, the details of the questions, it looked nothing like the courses at all. So don't try to retain every single thing from those courses. Like, treat it as a test. Get through the courses, study for the course exam, and then once you pass that course exam, completely reset your mindset to how you have to study for the state exam, because it's completely different. Okay, so like I said, for me, I did one section in the morning, 2 sections at night, and then so it took me about, I say, a week and a half, and then I studied for about a day or so, and then that Friday I took the course exam. I had a proctor. You have to, you know, tell them who your proctor is going to be. If you're doing it online, you have to let them know who your proctor is, their phone number, their address, and all that kind of stuff. Try to get someone, try to be as honest as possible. Get someone who doesn't have any type of benefit from you passing this course. Try to get someone who's not going to allow you the opportunity to even think about looking at notes or think about trying to, you know, make it easy for yourself. Like, get someone who's going to hold you accountable, because if you don't be honest during the course exam, that state exam is going to kill you, because those proctors in the state exam are on you. You're not taking anything in that room at all. So don't cheat yourself out of getting a mental preparation of what that state exam is going to feel like. Okay, so for the course exam, I actually went to the library. That way I was in a different setting than my house, and I took the course exam with a proctor that works for DDS. So she's a notary, and she, you know, has no benefit. No, she didn't know me from a can of tuna. So she literally sat there doing her work as I'm taking this exam. I had nothing in there with me. I took the course exam. Once I passed that, I took a whole entire week off. So 2 weeks of courses, I took a week off. I set my exam for May 12th, a Monday morning at 9 a.m. I took a week off. I played with my son. I was at his field day. I did everything, kind of taking my mind off of real estate for a little bit. And then that 2 weeks leading into my exam, I started studying. I started with the vocabulary. Every day, that vocabulary that I'm going to give you takes about an hour to get through the whole vocabulary flashcard list. Do that whole hour every single day, and pay attention to it. I literally would play it in my car. I was doing it more than an hour. I would do it like an hour where I'm just sitting there literally sitting and watching it, and I'm like trying to remember certain things. Like, the word would come up and I would try to give the definition of it, you know, stuff like that. But then I would literally play it in my car as I'm driving. My son will tell you, like, he probably knows most of these real estate terms by now because we're playing it all the time while we're in the car, while we're doing whatever. You know, I'm cooking, I'm playing the vocabulary terms just over and over and over and over and over. So then that Tuesday, I started studying on a Sunday. That Tuesday, after I went through a few of the prep courses on YouTube, that Tuesday I took a practice exam with Prep Agent. Prep Agent's a really good site to get practice exams from. I took a practice exam for state specific, and I took a practice exam for national covered. And I seen how I did on those, and that let me know that, hey, I'm gonna be okay because I know this vocabulary. Like I'm seeing things, I'm remembering it. Like vocabulary wise, I was on it. So then I was like, okay, well, let me start looking at where I'm either short or where I need to, you know, just work on a little bit more. Like, you know, math concepts were a big thing. I saw that I was short in that. You know, if you're short in like finance or anything of those topics, you see that with the practice exam. You see where you're falling at, so you can start kind of setting a day aside to cover one topic at a time. Like a whole day, nothing but finance plus vocabulary. A whole day, nothing but real estate practice plus the vocabulary. You know, whole day of laws, state specific, plus the vocabulary. So you do that. And then, like I said, that last weekend, right before your test, that Saturday, I took some practice exams. And the way I set my practice exams up is if it says that you're going to have 100 national questions, I set my practice exam up with 150 questions. Or if they let you do 200 questions, do 200 questions. My state specific, it says you're supposed to have 52. Like I said, I only had 21 on my actual test, but they say you're going to have 52. I set my practice exam up for 100 questions. So I was always seeing way more material than what, you know, they're going to give you on the test. So I did that all day Saturday plus the vocabulary. Okay. Sunday, like I said, I got up, I did vocabulary. I covered some topics, just like a brief little run through of everything, which I'll give you the link for that as well. And then I relaxed the rest of the day. I cooked that day. I think me and my son might have made cookies, and we had ice cream. Like, I was nervous. I'm not gonna tell you no lie. I was nervous, but I did as much as I could to get my mind off of it. And I had to do that also. My son, he was kind of feeling my nerves a little bit, and I could tell it. So I had to do something to kind of get his mind off of things as well. So that's why I say Sunday, just take your mind off of it. Study for a little bit. Do not try to study all day. Do not try to study all through the night. That's my advice. Now, if it works for you, if you're a crammer, do your thing. But my advice is not to try to cram all day Sunday. If you set this up to where you're doing it little by little every day, you won't need that cram day. Okay. So then Monday morning, I got up. My mom actually told me not to drink coffee. I'm a coffee drinker, but I'm also a very anxious test taker. So my mom was like, don't drink coffee. She took some class years back when she was getting her license in insurance, and she said the one thing that she was told was not to drink coffee if you're already going to be nervous, if you're already going to be anxious, because that's just going to speed your heart rate up, you know, and that makes plenty of sense, right? So I didn't drink coffee that morning, which is different from me. I drink coffee every single morning. I didn't drink coffee that morning. I got up, I drank water that morning. I ate a small breakfast. I didn't try to do anything too out the ordinary. You know, I didn't try to cook myself a big 5-star breakfast and stuff like that, because I don't do that on the daily. The only thing I changed that morning was not having coffee. All right, so I took my son to school and I drove to the testing site. I got there, I went through the process of checking in. When I sat down at the cubicle, I literally just took some deep breaths. I said a prayer, and once I clicked the mouse, my hand was literally shaking because I'm like, this is it. You know, I don't want to take this test more than once. That was my big thing. And my reasoning wasn't anything to do with being embarrassed about it as far as like public consumption or my broker or anything like that, because they made it very clear. People are taking this test 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. They made it very clear. It's not unusual to take the test more than once. So do not feel obligated to pass on the first time. Do not feel bad if you don't. But my reasoning was because my son, who's 9, about to be 10, you know, just explaining to him, you know, we've been doing this for 2 weeks solid of him listening to these vocabulary words and him doing that and understanding the gravity of this test and knowing that, hey, when dad passes this test, he can do what I see on HGTV. We watch this all the time. My dad gets to do this stuff. And I just was like, I don't want to explain to my son that I didn't pass. That was the weight that was on me. That was the motivation for me. So if you know what your motivation is, if you know what your why is, why are you doing this? Why is it important to you? Use that every single day to make yourself stay to a schedule and study on that schedule. Do not try to cram everything. Do not think because you miss something on a practice test that means you're gonna fail. Do not think that you have to know every single thing, because I'm telling you, my nerves got in my way so bad that I would literally look at a flashcard and it would say, what is the primary responsibility of an agent? And I'm sitting there drawing blanks. That's because I was overthinking everything. Like, I'm looking at this multiple choice and it's giving these options, and I'm like, well, is it that? Could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be that? And I'm like, dude, you know what an agent is. Like, you know what real estate means. You know what a fiduciary means. You know what the tax laws are. You know what eminent domain means. You know the difference between that and condensation. Like, you know these things. Like, stop psyching yourself out. Like, I was literally psyching myself out over the simplest of things. That's why I say, do not try to cram. Do not try to overdo things. Do not try to study 8 hours a day. Give yourself a schedule. Stick to that schedule and learn your vocabulary, okay? When I looked at that test, I got on top of it a little bit, but that day, as I'm sitting down, I start the test. The first question was an easy one for me. So I got that one. And I found myself, I was like, oh, wait a minute, could it be this? Oh, wait. So I literally slid my chair back at that moment, and I told myself, do not second guess yourself. Do not second guess yourself. So I slid back up, started taking the test. The ones I knew, I did them. The ones that I was like, this could be this or it could be that, I would mark what I think it is, but then I would bookmark it so that it would leave it for me to have to come back to. And then the ones that I didn't know, I just skipped it, because it's gonna, when you get ready to submit your test, it's gonna tell you that you're missing some. So it's gonna go back to those. So I would skip it, but if you want to be on the safe side, you can benchmark those as well, just to make sure, you know, that it's gonna come back to it. So I went through the whole test and I found that there wasn't many that I skipped. I may skip maybe 3 out of the whole test. And then the ones I was 50-50 on, that really got to me too, because I started being 50-50 on stuff that I really know. And that really was getting to me as well. So I went back through, when I went through the ones I didn't know. I chose, you know, what I was thinking it was. And then the ones I was 50-50 on, when I started going back through them, I found myself saying, okay, well, I was 50-50 on it, but now I'm like, could it be this other thing? You know, now I'm really just psyching myself out at this point. And so I'm like, you know what? I made the grown-up decision to say, you know what? I'm just going to go with it. Everything is answered. I feel confident in the ones that I know for sure. So at the very least, I'm just praying I have enough to make that 72% that I need to pass this exam. I'm not trying to be the perfect student for this test. I'm not gonna get a sticker on my test or anything like that. I just want to get past this exam so I can start learning from my broker, learning from my coaches, learning from my mentor, and start learning the practice of real estate on the ground. So I submitted it. My hand was literally shaking as I'm submitting. I'm nervous, but I submit it, and I go out and I sit down with the proctor, and she literally, as she's clicking my name, the computers go out. And so her expression was, oh. And so I instantly was like, man, I failed. Good God, I failed. So she gets the computers come back up for them, the system comes back up for them. They go and check to make sure that the computers didn't go down inside the testing site. She comes back out and her eyes kind of get big again. And so I'm like, dang. But she ends up saying, she said, you did really, really good. And so she looks at me, I'm like, oh, so did I pass? I don't care about the really, really good part. Like, I don't need to do really, really good. I need to pass. She was like, yeah. So I knew then, like, my process worked, again, for me. And if you're a test taker like me, then I think this will work for you. If you're like a hands-on type of person where you need somebody to be talking to you, I think this will work for you. If you're an anxious test taker, if you second guess things, this will work for you. It will make sure you know what you need to know. So those are my key things. If you take away from this, the first thing, like I said, if you've taken your pre-license courses, set a test date 2 weeks out minimum on a Monday morning if you can. That way you're getting right to it that Monday morning. And if you don't have to take your kids or anything to school, if you're doing it this summer, that's even more perfect. And then the second thing is vocabulary. Study the vocabulary every single day. No matter what else you cover that day, study the vocabulary. Take a practice exam so you know what you know and you know what you don't know. And after you take that practice exam, from that, set your days up one topic a day. Finance one day, real estate practice one day, laws, state specific one day. Set it up day by day, but every day do your vocabulary. If you can start with vocabulary and end your day with vocabulary, perfect. All right. And then, like I said, that Sunday before that Monday, study a little bit, go over some key things, and then relax your brain. Relax your brain and trust your process. All right. Get some rest. If you are an anxious test taker, do not try to drink anything with caffeine in it that morning. Just allow yourself to have a good glass of water, a bottle of water, relax yourself, do whatever you do to, kind of zone yourself out and go out there and rock this thing out. Hopefully this first video helps you guys just kind of get set up. The next few videos, I will go into specifics as far as, every single day, setting up the day, how I did it, what topic I did every day. That way, if you want to go based off of that, you definitely can. All right. So let's rock this thing out. I know you're going to be successful. If you have any questions, again, hit me up below. The best thing is to DM me because I missed a lot of the comments. So DM me and I will get back with you. Good luck.